The lie you were sold is simple. You can control your data. Toggle a setting, decline a cookie, enable, limit ad tracking, and the world reassures you that your movements, your browsing, your secrets are your own again. But in the shadows, there's an older, more durable machine grinding along, powered by companies most people can't name, one that doesn't care which apps you delete, which permissions you revoke, or how disciplined your digital habits are. An industry built quietly over half a century, now worth more than $200 billion, that treats your location, your spending, your health anxieties, and your emotional volatility as raw materials. Cut to present day. A credit card is all you need to buy someone's location trail, their insomnia patterns, the medications they probably take, and whether they've been driving to a clinic they don't want on record. Not because of a hack, because it's a product catalog line item. Jump back. 1969, Conway, Arkansas. A small company named Demographics, Inc. begins linking mailing lists. It rebrands to Acxiom and becomes the quiet titan behind the curtain. From there, a lineage forms. Epsilon, Experian Marketing Oracle Data Cloud, each inherits a philosophy distilled into one operational rule. If behavior can be logged, it can be sold. By the 2020s, that rule becomes a $200 billion global industry. The heart of the machine isn't malice, it's optimization. A long chain of small decisions, each one justified as improving personalization, reducing fraud, or enhancing the customer journey. Inside Acxiom's old engineering division, the breakthrough came in the late 2000s with a method they called Recursive Identity Stitching, RIS. The logic was simple. If behavior is fragmented across millions of devices and accounts, then the real product is the reconstruction of the person behind those fragments. RIS worked by building anchors, date of birth, zip code, fragments of hashed emails. Then came soft signals, your commute pattern, your late-night browsing window, the handful of stores you frequent. Then event bridges, the Starbucks Wi-Fi network you associate with at 7:32 a.m., the gas station where your Bluetooth reappears every Wednesday. Once the system reached a 72% confidence threshold, the identity became locked. From that moment forward, switching phones, moving cities, or creating new accounts barely slowed the machine. You weren't just identifiable, you were persistent. A data modeler named Melanie Urquhart supposedly warned in a 2009 note that this would create a regulatory nightmare. She wrote, "RIS will classify individuals even when the data is not legally recognized as PII." In other words, the law doesn't protect what the system doesn't admit is personal. The warning was ignored. If there's a moment that encapsulates the entire industry, it's a small, quiet scene from 2017. A group of contract engineers debugging a vendor integration inside Epsilon's tech stack. They were testing identity resolution across Starbucks Wi-Fi logs, pharmacy purchases, and snap-to-map mobile pings. One junior engineer muttered, "This person thinks they turned off location services." He scrolls. "But we tracked them from a Pep Boys parking lot to their therapist's office, took 3 vendor hops." No one asked if they should do it, only if the timestamp resolution was precise enough. That is the soul of the data broker economy. A system of ordinary people doing ordinary jobs, unaware of the larger moral architecture they are reinforcing. The mechanism driving all of this has nothing to do with conspiracy or secret government orders. It's the invisible gravitational field of misaligned incentives. Advertisers want better targeting, apps want more revenue, brokers want more signals, and none are legally obligated to consider the ethical fallout. Regulations focus on personally identifiable information, names, emails, social security numbers. The most revealing signals, however, are behavioral. How restless you are at 2 a.m., how many times you revisit a job application page, which gas stations you stop at on the way to an unfamiliar clinic. Because they're anonymized, they slip through the cracks. Because they're for sale, they circulate widely. The system doesn't need to know your name to know who you are. If history has a pattern, it's that surveillance begins with logistics. Punch cards in the 1930s were built to optimize census counting, not to enable political control. Telephone metadata programs in the 1970s began as traffic studies, not mass interception. Tools conceived for benign efficiency always drift toward power. The brokers operate at the same fault line. Loyalty programs were invented to reward customers, not to construct psychographic profiles. Geolocation was created for navigation, not to build clinic visitation heat maps. But here we are. The victims of the system aren't niche groups or political dissidents. They are ordinary people whose behaviors are repackaged as risk factors or marketing opportunities. A woman who visits a fertility clinic suddenly receives targeted ads for baby products before she's told her partner. Her location data was silently sold through 3 vendors. A man recovering from opioid addiction goes to a support group. His device ID shows up in interest segments like health challenges, high sensitivity. Insurance companies quietly purchase these lists. Teenagers browsing mental health forums late at night are classified into emotional volatility brackets. Advertisers bid for access to their attention during vulnerable windows. None of these people opted in. They simply existed in a system that treats the details of their lives as public commodities. The danger is not that the machine sees too much, it's that it sees enough and interprets without context. There's a quiet asymmetry here. You are transparent to the system, and the system is opaque to you. If the system has a face, and it's a spreadsheet, a corporate process, an identity graph, an algorithmic pipeline ingesting data from thousands of SDKs embedded in your apps, weather widgets, coupon apps, flashlight apps, games you downloaded once and forgot. Brokers don't need to hack you. They're the plumbing of the digital world. They buy from each other, reinforce each other, normalize each other. When Oracle Data Cloud advertises life transition segments that can predict divorce risk or new diagnosis indicators, it's not a reveal of wrongdoing, it's a sales pitch, a feature. No conspiracy, just commerce. This is why the system feels unstoppable, because no one is directly responsible. The engineer optimizes match rates, the marketer wants conversion efficiency, the broker wants product differentiation, and the law is 20 years behind. The machine grows not by central command, but by inertia. None of this requires a conspiracy, only the quiet logic of unregulated commerce. The real villain isn't Acxiom or Epsilon or Oracle. It is the incentive structure they inhabit, a system that values behavioral extraction more than dignity, precision more than privacy, prediction more than consent. What we face now is not a hidden network of villains, but a system built on normalized extraction, extraction of data, extraction of attention, extraction of trust. The only way to resist is to reclaim agency, demand transparency, insist on identity and privacy rights, and treat your personal information as the precious and precarious asset it has become. Because data is mined and sold, it rarely disappears. And as long as profit lies in profiling people without their knowledge, the system will only deepen, expand, and refine itself.